Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Spin Scott and this is the Contested Reality. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This video is going to be all about my standalone Arthurian Legends box set. It's kind of like a cube, but not exactly like a cube. And what I wanted to create here, and I actually built this about 7-8 months ago and intended to make a video about it, finally getting around to it. But what I wanted to create is a true theme box where I could play against an opponent or do a learn to play exclusively within the theme of Arthurian Legends. I was so excited when this set was first announced by Eric Curiosa, and I thought, what a great way to be able to build a theme night or even have a theme party where you're just, maybe you dress up, like whatever you want to do, right? But I have a lot of fun with this card game, if you haven't noticed from some of my other videos. But anyway, I put this box together, and it's actually a two-part video because first I'm going to talk about the box and pack analytics, and that's important because it really informs how you put something like this together in terms of how many elites or how many ordinaries, exceptionals, uniques, whatever you're putting in. Why do you do that? What are you trying to achieve? And so what I'm trying to achieve here is I wanted to really sort of capture the best elements of all of the different play formats. So there's things that I like about sealed, there's things I love about doing a draft with other players, there's things that are obviously great about constructed play. And so doing it this way, I was able to sort of build in all of those attributes into this. If you would like to try building this box yourself, I've got a comprehensive list of cards that is on curiosa.io. I will link to that. It's set up as a deck, but it's the full list. I'll link to that in the description of this video. Let's see, before I get into this though, I do want to take a sidestep here and shout out to everyone that I had the opportunity and pleasure to meet at SCGCon Baltimore a couple of weekends ago here. I gotta say, this game, Sorcery, it really sticks with players and it really makes an awesome and massive impression on people. I was working the learn to play areas on Saturday and Sunday, and people were coming over, learning the game, and it stuck with them so much that they actually signed up to compete and play in some of the organized play on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, you had people in the Crossroads event, you had people in the community events that, 24 hours before didn't even know what Sorcery was. So I mean, that just speaks to how incredible and how sticky the game is with regards to just the elements that people can bring from other games and the beautiful hand-painted art and the grid format and the community, which is one of the most important things to all of this. There were so many great people at the event. So I'm really glad I got to meet so many people and see a lot of old friends there. I hope to see you at events coming up soon. There's going to be a lot of SCGs and, of course, likely Gen Con next year and things like that. But anyway, let's get into this. So let's look at some of the box and pack analytics. What I did and where I got these numbers from is I actually opened about 55 boxes of Arthurian Legends initially with the goal of just creating play sets and trying my luck at finding foils, curios, things like that. And I kept track of all of the card types that I pulled. And I didn't just limit it to exceptionals, uniques, ordinaries, and elites, but I kept track because very early on, like most of you probably discovered, there was some quirkiness about the box opening and the card names in this, or the rarity types, right? So one of the anomalies in this, which makes it very draftable, but is also very different from alpha and beta, is that you had some cards that were listed as unique, and from a gameplay perspective, they still can only be used unique one appearance in your deck. It's a limit of one of that card in your deck. There were a lot of cards that were named, they were the Knights and the Dame that were actually named uniques, but they're actually elite rarity in the pack. So that kind of mangled some of the expectations that people had. These boxes have 24 packs in them, and we all started pulling 9 or 10 uniques, and we're freaking out because, wow, in beta, you couldn't pull that many in a box. Turns out a lot of them were elite rarity, and I think that was important because, again, this is a theme, and so you want to be able to pull a lot of knights and royalty. I mean, that's what the Arthurian Legends is kind of, that's the foundation of it, right? But you wouldn't really make sense to be able to play 2 or 3 King Arthurs or 2 or 3, Sir Morians, right? I mean, you want to be able to use one each. So I understand why they did that, and it does make sense. But anyway, let's get into some of the details here. These stats very much inform the way that I built this box because, again, I wanted to capture all of the different types of gameplay elements and the best practices from everything. So first, we're going to talk about what is in the Arthurian Legends booster box. This is my box analysis. I've got a cheat sheet here. I will also show screenshots from my spreadsheet up onto the left and right of the screen here. let's go through the box. So ordinary spells in the box, there are typically, or almost exactly, 214 ordinary spells. You're going to have almost 59 exceptional spells. Elite spells, you're going to have 12, maybe sometimes 13. And then for the elite rarity unique knights, you're going to have somewhere between 6, maybe 7. And then the unique spells, you're going to have somewhere between 3 and 4. And as you can see on the screen, I broke this down by per box, per pack, and per pack for a 6-pack bundle, because when you do sealed, you're pulling from 6 packs. And so I wanted to really get a feel of what you could expect from the boxes at all 3 of those levels, right? So ordinary sights, you're typically going to get 46 in the box. You're going to get roughly 15 of the exceptionals, and elite sights, you're going to get somewhere between 2 and 3. And then unique sights, you all know those are kind of hard to pull in Arthurian Legends. You're probably going to get 1 per box. That was actually quite consistent from what I saw. And per pack, I broke it down like that as well. And so, again, each box is going to contain 360 cards. It's 15 per pack, and then 6 packs equals 90 cards. And so 90 cards is the draw for when you're playing the standalone Arthurian Legends box set that I put together. So, a couple notes on this. The average was based on about 100 boxes. A lot of those I did open myself, but I did watch maybe 40 or 50 box openings on different content creators channels. So thank you to everyone who loves to just open box after box and do case cracks and things like that. I was able to capture a lot of data, and I appreciate you donating that to this effort. The foils I counted as playable cards, so you're going to get almost always 6 foils out of a box of AL. They're going to be across the rarities. If you're lucky, you'll get a unique foil, but they're all playable cards anyway, so I counted them specifically as playable. For the avatars, Archimago, Templar foil, and Witch are the ones that you can pull from the boxes or from booster packs, and so I just counted those as spells for this to keep it simple, and then I did not count Curios or Gilded Knights in this because they're really hard to pull. Probably it's speculated that's like 1 per 50 boxes or something, so that's not really going to impact most people's box opening experience, okay? So that's really what I've come up with in terms of the box analysis. In terms of the standalone game, and when I say the standalone box game, that's this one right here. I'll crack it open in a second. But here's what you're going to need to build this. And again, I did put a Curiosa deck together so you can see the list of everything that goes into this. But what goes into this? It's not a full playset, so you don't have to go out collecting everything. You need at least 1 of each of everything, though. So ordinary spells, you're going to have 3 of each. You're going to have 2 of each exceptional spell in the box. You're going to have 1 each of the elite spells, the unique royalty, and unique spells. Elite, unique, and unique. Yeah, so side note, all of the unique and elite rarities include the kings, the queens, knights, and dames that have the twin pair of thresholds. And so what I mean by that is if you look at the elements on the knights and the sirs and the dames, if you see that it says unique, it may be elite and it may be unique from a rarity standpoint, right? So you're looking for double pairs. So if you see a knight, for example, that has 2 earth and 2 fire threshold, that's a unique. But if it has 2 and 1 or 4 that don't match, it's got to be 2 pairs in order to be unique. But I've kind of bundled all of those together because I want people to be able to draw a nice number of those out of the cards that we have in the box. And so when you're dealing from the box, let me back up for 1 second. So there's no Ring of Morgan in here. It's a very powerful card. It's a beautiful card. I'm delighted to actually have a, I'll flex here for a minute, a foil one that I traded for. And it's one of my favorite cards in the set. It's a beauty, but it's very powerful. And while I don't subscribe, I'm not a subscriber to the ban theory, right? I think all of these cards deserve to be played, and it's just my opinion that if something's overpowered, you either figure out how to build around it, or you leave it up to Eric Curiosa to build around it and sort of negate some of the overpower effects in future sets, right? So, but I did exclude it here because when it's just 2 people playing only AL, it does give an incredible advantage, and I don't want to say you're unbeatable, but having the ring in your deck, even if it's just like general play, really makes you powerful. So I pulled that out for this. Your mileage may vary. You may want to put one into your box if you build this, but instead of the ring, I swapped it with a second Brother Knight. So I broke my rule in here of 1 of each elite spell because, you know, the knights go together and it's not a guarantee you're going to pull both. And even if you do get both, it's not a game-changing advantage, but it is very flavorful for the set. So I've got 2 of those in there. So that's everything that is in the AL standalone game. what you're going to do is you're going to build this box, you're going to shuffle up all of the individual card types into separate piles, and then you're going to deal them out as follows. You're going to deal, each player gets 45 ordinary spells, 18 exceptional spells, 5 elite spells, 3 unique royalty, and that's the unique where it says it on the card. Now, if you remember when we went through the list of the box, you're only going to get, out of 6 packs, you're probably going to get between 1 and 2 knights. So I boosted that to 3 because I wanted there to be a little bit more flavor. And then on the unique spells, you get 3. And out of your 6 packs that you would get out of a standard draft or sealed, you would be only getting maybe 1 unique spell. So you're getting 3. So the decks are going to be a little bit more powerful, but very balanced. I'll talk about that in a minute. The ordinary sites, you're going to get 8 each. You're going to get 4 exceptional sites, 2 elite, and 2 unique sites. You might not even get 1 per box of the unique sites, and I just wanted those to be available. So you have 2 to choose from whatever you draft out of this. So let's see, I went over all the details there. I did leave something out, so I want to backtrack for a second. So when you're building the box, in addition to all the Arthurian Legends cards that were in the spells and the sites, you also want to make sure that you have 24 each of the draft sites. You might not need that many, but I wanted sort of a complete, so any combination would work. 2 Spellslinger avatars in here. I've also got 2 each of the Templar, the Druid, and the Tawny. I've got 2 of the Bruin and the Witch and the Archimago, and then 20 Rebels. And if you're a weird detail-obsessed person like I am, you'll make sure that all 20 of your Rebels are in fact Arthurian Legend Rebels. So anyway, that's how you build everything, and that's how you draft everything. And yeah, I mean, this is what the box, it's all self-contained here. I would say one of the only drawbacks of doing it this way, I know in a cube you can have packs that you've got and you sort of reshuffle the packs. I've actually never built a cube, but I've played a cube at my local game store a couple of times. But with this, I guess the only clunky part is that you do have to shuffle all of these piles. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different, or really 11, those are tokens. 11 piles of cards that you have to make sure that you separate at the end of each game. But I think it's worth the effort because all of the games have been balanced and all of the decks have been balanced. So there hasn't been, complete blowouts. It's balanced, but it's not boring, right? And so you can really have a fun game. And that's what I like about Sorcery, and that's what I don't love about Constructed, is that it can very much turn into a beatdown. And so you get to construct your deck in this, but there's that built-in balance. So yeah, that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of what you can do with Arthurian Legends. I may do this again with Gothic. I'm very excited. That's going to be a super dark set. And I may rewind and do something like this with Beta too. But I think for Arthurian Legends with a theme like this, it really made sense to build a standalone box set. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have an opportunity to build something like this and play it yourself. Hey, if we cross paths, I do carry this box around with me. It's a little clunky, but I do bring it. Maybe we can throw down a game sometime as well. But anyway, thank you again for tuning in. I'm Spin Scott, and this is the Contested Reality. If you like the video, make sure you like the video and make sure that you leave a comment, maybe talk about your experiences with AL or things that you might do differently building a standalone box cube-like set like this. And then also, if you do like my videos, feel free to subscribe because, hey, that does help the channel as well. But thanks again, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers.